Hey there, you're watching yet another episode of Procurement Shorts, where we bring you up to speed on all that's hot and happening from the world of procurement and supply chain. Let's look at what made headlines when you were away. Air freight from China is set for a price hike. According to the TAC index, which tracks prices of air cargo around the world, air freight from China to the US saw rates spike from $6.8 per kilogram to about $9.2. This marks a 6% in rates since May 16th after weeks of muted prices. Rates from China to Europe began to flatline around the same time at around $6.8 per kilogram after seeing a sustained fall since the end of April. TAC data indicated that 80% of freight flights were back in business, leading to a rise in capacity in line with improving supplies from China. The spike in activity comes even as the port of Shanghai has resumed operations at 90% capacity after several weeks of lockdown across major Chinese cities. It's only a matter of time before pent-up demand leads to congestion at Shanghai, according to TAC. It's the same situation in Singapore. Air freight from the country is unlikely to show signs of softening as reports of a reduction in flight belly capacity have emerged on the back of increasing passenger traffic. However, indications are that if passenger count increases, increased frequencies could see a spike in capacity and reduced freight rates. Increased cargo from China and Singapore comes as great news for European markets. Rising inflation owing to supply crunches from the East and Russia has been a cause for concern. Some estimates say inflation in the continent could touch 7.8% in a few months from now, with steel feeling the most upward price pressure. China may be reopening, but Taiwan is tempering expectations from its own economy. The Taiwanese government downgraded its GDP estimates from 4.42% in February to just about 3.91% a few days ago. This is significantly lower than the 6.45% GDP growth the Taiwanese economy registered in 2021. Any downgrade in the Taiwanese economy has far-reaching implications for the West, as major companies rely on the local manufacturing ecosystem for procurement of semiconductors. And that's also why it's not all doom and gloom. Despite downward revisions in GDP estimates, exports from the island are set to rise by 14.62%, as opposed to initial estimates of 9.69% earlier this year. Taiwan has been bracing for troubling economic times after a spike in COVID-19 cases, followed by rising inflation thanks to the Russia-Ukraine crisis. COVID-driven lockdowns and the annual storm season in the South China Sea have meant a scale down in semiconductor production and supply. As a result, Europe recently saw a 21% fall in car sales, with EV sales down 1.4% on the back of semiconductor shortages. Deutsche Bank's data has indicated a 21% drop in American car sales owing to the same reason. Positives on the export front for Taiwan, despite a slowing economy, now mean that automobile manufacturers will continue sticking to mid-2023 as the projected timeline for an end to the semiconductor shortage. Steel procurement could continue seeing tough days as global prices are yet to scale down. According to data from the World Steel Association, global steel output across 64 countries fell by 5.1% in April to 162.7 million tons. The fall was led by the world's largest producer, China, which saw a 5.2% year-on-year drop in production to 92.8 million tons in this period. This marked a 10.3% drop to 336.2 million tons in the first 4 months of 2022. The good news, though, is that China's fall has been offset, even if only slightly, by a spike in India's steel production. The second largest producer saw a 6.2% rise in output for April, with production at 10.1 million tons for the month. Meanwhile, production in Japan, Korea, North America, and Europe fell between 4.4% to 1.1%. To give production a boost, Pennsylvania's state Senate has introduced a bill to ease paperwork and red tape surrounding logistics for steel forged within the state. The move is aimed at boosting production and saving time, even as steel imports to the US remain stressed and prices stay high. That's about all the time we have on this episode of Procurement Shorts. Thanks so much for watching, and do keep an eye on BureauLive.ai for more news and updates on logistics, procurement, and supply chain. Until we meet again, it's goodbye from us.